Hello all, and welcome back to Killer Shrew Fans Killer Toy Reviews. Yesterday we took a look at yet another new for 2017 Safari Limited figure, and today we're going to do the same while we wait for some more new for 2017 Papo figures. But today we are very excited to bring you this. It's this guy, the new for 2017 Safari Limited Giganotosaurus. And as you can see, this figure is quite large and impressive upon first impressions. And we're going to give you a closer look at this figure. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Starting off at the head, as you can see, they do have the Safari Limited tag, as with any of their new figures, which comes with an interesting little factoid inside, and you can learn more about the figure at their website. And it's got that lovely, lovely rubber rubber band, that's the word I was looking for, the band. So you can take this on and put it off as you please, which makes displaying them a little more interesting and good for dioramas if that's what you're into. But anywho, starting off with the head, as you can see, Safari Limited has gone through great lengths to ensure that all of those teeth have been individually sculpted and painted, and I appreciate that they're not all just mushed together. On the inside, you have got a palate sculpted up there, and a tongue with just enough gloss to make it look a little moist and wet. It seems they went back to the Carnegie way of doing eyes, because the eye has that classic Carnegie look. Oops, too far. It's got that golden color with the black pupil, and they put gloss on it, so it's got this nice sheen. As you can see, he does have these sort of zebra stripes going on all over his body. It starts here and it goes all the way down to the tip of his tail. On the other side, you know, same story. All the teeth look great, the eyes, you've got the sculpted brows, which look kind of rocky and pebbly on this guy. Not sure how I feel about that. I mean, it's just, I guess it's texture at the end of the day. Going down the neck, you see some lovely wrinkles as he turns his head slightly to the right, possibly to look at a prey item. Going down, you see those nice, powerful-looking arms with the 3 claws Giganotosaurus has instead of the 2, like T-Rex, its smaller cousin. You've got some lovely wrinklage going on just above the belly there as the skin bags and folds, and as you can see, the striping does continue all the way down. Starting at the leg there, you've got a nice, powerful-looking thigh taking a step forward. And something else that's noteworthy is this figure does come with a base, which really gives it the ability to have that very active walking pose. I mean, without that base, the feet would probably be too close together for it to be able to stand. So it's really nice that they included that. I feel like it kind of limits playability, especially if you're a kid and you want to play with this thing, and you're like, roar! He's got this base attached to him, always knocking around. But it makes it great for dioramas, and as you can see, the base has been sculpted too. It's not just a flat piece of plastic. It's kind of got an earthy look to it, a bunch of dirt and sod and whatnot as he takes a step. And as you can see, his foot is even sinking into the base with his weight, which is a lovely detail. It doesn't look like he's standing on top of it. It looks like his weight is pushing him into it. As you can see, the other foot is pushing off the ground as he takes a stride forward. You go up that calf. Oh, it looks so good, so powerful. You've got some lovely wrinklage as the skin bunches and folds at the bending leg. Going down all the way to the tip of the tail, the stripes continue, as do the lovely wrinkleages and whatnots. And that is about all there is to this Giganotosaurus. I gotta say, overall, it has a presence. It looks good on your shelf. It's got a great stance. It's got a it's accurate. It's got the horizontal walking pose that we know is how they walked, and the base allows it to have that. So and you'd never have to worry about him falling off the shelf because of that base. But overall, I feel like this figure is still lacking. I mean, they had the great feathered Tyrannosaurus Rex with all of the details and whatnot, but this figure, especially when he's washed out in the light here, you can barely tell he has any texture whatsoever. I mean, when you look at it closely there, you can see he's got some stuff going on, some skin wrinklage, but there's no scales. There's really not much to make this guy stand out, and that's, I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I'm kind of disappointed. I wish there was some sort of indication, some texture that stood out a little better on this figure. But I mean, like I said, he's got a lot going for him. So I guess I can forgive it. I was hoping for a little more with this guy, but what can you do? So, just how big is this gigantic Giganotosaurus? Well, let's bring in our trusty dusty tape measure and find out. So from the tip of the tail all the way to the front of the snout, you're looking at right around 15 inches, which is a great size for a theropod figure. And from the base all the way to the highest point, which I'm going to say is the hip in this case, you're looking at right around 5 inches, just under 5¼ inches. So a very good size for a very big theropod dinosaur. Size comparison time, let's bring in the also new for 2017 Safari Limited feathered Tyrannosaurus Rex. And you can kind of see what I mean when I say that feels like they lost a lot of detail with the Giganotosaurus. Oh, excuse me. I mean, just look at all the detail they captured on that T-Rex, all of the individual hair-like feathers that they sculpted into this thing, all of the individually sculpted scales on the feet and on the head. It's just incredible. And then you see the Giganotosaurus back there, and it's just bland and boring compared to this guy. However, they did size them very appropriately. The Giganotosaurus is longer than the T-Rex, and if the T-Rex was in a similar pose, I feel like he would be a little bit shorter than the Giganotosaurus. I mean, he kind of is in a similar pose, but he's got his head lifted up instead of straight like the Giganotosaurus does. Up next, we have the recently reviewed, also new for 2017, Safari Limited, Diplodocus, and you can kind of see how those two size up next to each other. The Giganotosaurus just dwarfs the Diplodocus. I mean, not necessarily in length, but he's definitely much higher than the Diplodocus is. Even with the Diplodocus's crane neck, it comes up higher than the Jig, but really that's about the only reason it does is because this thing has its neck going up instead of the Giganotosaurus. And that was one of my grievances with this Diplodocus. It's not much longer than this guy, it's shorter than this guy. It just feels like it could have been bigger. Now, again, we don't have any bananas still for you guys, but in lieu of that, we're going to give you another interesting size comparison. It's this guy, the Carnegie version of the Giganotosaurus. And as you can see, these guys look pretty cool together. I mean, the Carnegie version looks like it was the inspiration for the Safari Limited version because it has the same sort of striping going on in its paint job. But again, as you can see, this guy's got a lot more texture and interesting stuff going on sculpturally than the Giganotosaurus that we got this year. I mean, overall, the pose and whatnot of the new Giganotosaurus is much better, but I think I prefer the sculpture of this Giganotosaurus, and I think the paint job too. I think the stripes are done in a more interesting way than on this Giganotosaurus. It looks like they just went like pss, 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 pss on this guy. But on this one, they like outlined the stripes in blue so that they stood out a little better from the skin. And they got a nice splash of red for the eye crest. And I think overall that figure is just a little more interesting than what we got this year. Which is a little disappointing, but again, what can you do? Well, folks, there you have it. That concludes our look at the new for 2017 Safari Limited Giganotosaurus. Overall, I think this figure is just okay relative to the rest of their line. It's definitely a standout given its size and its very cool pose. that they incorporated with the base. So I think I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. It's not as impressive as their Ionosaurus, not as interesting as their feathered T-Rex, but it gets the job done. It's another great large theropod model that you can put on your shelf. But I want to know what you guys think of this figure. Do you love him? Are you one of the people that when they released the stock images, he became a fan favorite for? Do you hate me for my opinion? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't be afraid to hit that like button and give us a subscribe. And we will see you in future videos.